How many failures does it take for a billion-dollar empire to feel like dust? Ethan wondered. The weight of yet another failed exam crushing him like the plush velvet armchair he slumped into. Outside the panoramic windows of his father's Nairobi estate, the sprawling city glittered, a testament to a success he seemed genetically incapable of replicating. Each meticulously marked F on his report card was a fresh wound, a stark contrast to the gold-plated trophies that lined his father's study, each one a silent accusation. The air in the mansion was thick with unspoken expectations, a suffocating blend of expensive mahogany and his mother's anxious sighs. He could almost hear the disappointment radiating from his father's distant office, a cold wave that washed over the perfectly manicured gardens and the shimmering infinity pool. Ethan longed for a connection, a flicker of understanding in their eyes, but all he saw was the reflection of his inadequacy, a constant reminder that he was the single flawed equation in their otherwise perfect lives. He traced the intricate patterns on the Persian rug beneath his feet, each knot a symbol of the tangled mess his academic life had become. Was he simply incapable, destined to be the black sheep, the one blot on his family's impeccable record? A wave of despair washed over him, the familiar sting of failure a bitter taste on his tongue. He was adrift in a sea of expectations with no land in sight. The new maid arrived like a whisper in the echoing halls of the mansion. Zola, with her kind eyes and a quiet dignity that seemed out of place amidst the ostentatious wealth, moved through the rooms with an almost ethereal grace. Unlike the other staff, who often cast pitying glances at Ethan, Zola's gaze held a neutral curiosity, an unspoken acknowledgement of his presence without judgment. She observed him from a distance, noticing the discarded textbooks, the furrowed brow of frustration, the defeated slump of his shoulders. She saw not just a failing student, but a young man burdened by an invisible weight. As she meticulously polished the silver frames of his family's numerous achievements, her mind quietly considered the different kinds of intelligence, the lessons that couldn't be found within the pages of a textbook. There was a quiet strength about Zola, an unspoken wisdom that hinted at a life lived beyond the manicured lawns and gilded cages of the Billionaire'S estate. Her presence was a subtle shift in the atmosphere, a gentle breeze that stirred the stagnant air of Ethan's despair, promising a change he couldn't yet comprehend. One afternoon, Ethan was struggling with a particularly complex physics problem, the equations blurring before his frustrated eyes. Zola was dusting the bookshelves nearby, her movements precise and silent. Without looking up from his textbook, Ethan muttered, "It's pointless. I'll never understand this." Zola paused her work, her voice soft but clear as she replied, "Perhaps you are trying to see it only one way, Master Ethan." He looked up, surprised by her directness. She gestured subtly towards a vibrant bougainvillea vine, climbing the trellis outside the window. The vine does not try to become the wall. It finds its own way to reach the sun. Her words, simple yet profound, resonated in a way his tutor's complex explanations never had. It was a fleeting moment, a brief glimpse of a different perspective, but it planted a tiny seed of doubt in Ethan's mind. Maybe his failures weren't a reflection of his inherent inadequacy, but a sign that he was approaching the problem from the wrong angle. Ethan found himself watching Zola more intently in the days that followed. He noticed the way she effortlessly navigated the intricate social dynamics of the household staff, the quiet understanding in her eyes when his mother was particularly stressed, the gentle patience she displayed when his younger sister peppered her with endless questions. He saw her tending to the small vegetable garden she had cultivated in a forgotten corner of the estate, her hands moving with a knowledgeable grace that spoke of a deep connection to the earth. She seemed to possess a practical intelligence, a grounded understanding of the world that was completely absent from his privileged, theory-laden existence. His initial surprise at her comment had morphed into a budding curiosity. What else did she know that his expensive education had failed to teach him? He began to wonder about her life, the experiences that had shaped her quiet wisdom. The vast chasm between their worlds suddenly seemed less absolute, replaced by a fragile bridge of unspoken questions. Driven by a desperate hope, Ethan found Zola in the garden one afternoon, carefully tending to her tomato plants. He hesitated for a moment, the ingrained social barriers of his upbringing making it difficult to address a member of the household staff in this way. Finally, he blurted out, "Zola, do you think you could help me with something?" Zola looked up, her gaze calm and steady. She set down her watering can and turned her full attention to him, waiting patiently. He shuffled his feet, feeling a blush creep up his neck. It's about my studies. I'm failing everything and You said something the other day about seeing things differently. I was wondering if..." He trailed off, unsure how to articulate his unconventional request. A faint smile touched Zola's lips. "You wish for me to help you with your schoolwork, Master Ethan?" she asked gently, without a hint of mockery or surprise. He nodded eagerly, a flicker of hope igniting within him. It was a long shot, a breach of all the unspoken rules of his world, but he was desperate enough to try anything. Zola agreed to help, her first lesson taking place not in the sterile confines of Ethan's study, but amidst the vibrant chaos of the local market. "Today," she announced, gesturing to the bustling crowd, "we will learn about economics." Ethan looked at her, bewildered, expecting equations and graphs. "Observe," she instructed, "how the vendors interact, what sells quickly, what doesn't. See the unspoken agreements, the ebb and flow of supply and demand." They spent the afternoon weaving through the colorful stalls, Zola pointing out the subtle nuances of trade. She explained how the price of mangoes fluctuated with the season, how a popular tailor attracted more customers, how trust and reputation built lasting businesses. She didn't use textbooks or complicated jargon. Instead, she used the real world as her classroom. Later, as they sat by the roadside sipping sugarcane juice, Zola drew parallels between what they had observed and the theoretical concepts Ethan had struggled with in his economics class. Suddenly, the abstract ideas began to take shape, grounded in the tangible reality of the market. Ethan realized that learning wasn't just about memorizing facts. It was about seeing the world with new eyes. Zola's next lesson took place in the garden. "Today, we learn about biology," she declared, handing Ethan a pair of gardening gloves. He stared at her, confused. They spent the morning tilling the soil, planting seeds, and learning about the different needs of each plant. Zola explained the delicate balance of the ecosystem, the importance of sunlight and water, the interconnectedness of all living things. As they worked, she drew parallels between the life cycle of a plant and the biological processes he was studying in his textbooks. She showed him how observation and hands-on experience could bring abstract concepts to life. He learned about photosynthesis, not from a diagram, but by feeling the warmth of the sun on the leaves. He understood the importance of nutrients by seeing how a weak seedling struggled in poor soil. That evening, covered in dirt, but with a newfound sense of understanding, Ethan looked at his biology textbook with fresh eyes. The diagrams and explanations now held a deeper meaning, connected to the tangible experience of nurturing life. He was learning not by rote memorization, but through active engagement with the world around him. One day, Zola took Ethan to a local community center where she volunteered. "Today," she said, "we learn about human nature." He spent the afternoon observing people from all walks of life, listening to their stories, witnessing their joys and struggles. Zola encouraged him to truly see them, to try and understand their perspectives. She pointed out the subtle cues of emotion, the sadness in a widow's eyes, the hopeful smile of a young mother, the quiet pride of an elderly craftsman. She explained how understanding these emotions could help him connect with people on a deeper level. It wasn't a subject taught in his expensive schools, but Ethan found himself strangely captivated. Later, as they walked home, Zola explained that understanding human emotions wasn't just important in life, but also in understanding history, literature, and even economics. People's choices are often driven by their feelings, Master Ethan, she said gently. To truly understand the world, you must first understand the hearts within it. The first tangible sign of change came in his history class. They were studying a particularly complex period of Kenyan history, filled with political intrigue and conflicting accounts. Instead of just memorizing dates and names, Ethan found himself thinking about the motivations of the historical figures, trying to understand their perspectives, just as Zola had taught him at the community center. He remembered the stories he had heard, the emotions he had witnessed. Suddenly, the historical figures weren't just names on a page. They were people with hopes, fears, and ambitions. He was able to analyze their actions with a newfound depth of understanding. To his surprise, he aced the next quiz on that historical period. It was just one small victory, but it felt monumental. For the first time in years, Ethan felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't destined to fail after all. Ethan's newfound interest in his studies and his frequent interactions with Zola did not go unnoticed by his parents. At first, they were simply perplexed by the change in his demeanor. But as they saw him spending less time with his tutors and more time in the garden or engaging in seemingly trivial conversations with the new maid, their confusion turned to disapproval. "What exactly are you doing with the help, Ethan?" his father asked one evening, his tone sharp. "You have highly qualified tutors. You should be focusing on your books, not fraternizing with the staff." His mother echoed his concerns, worried about appearances and the potential gossip within their social circles. Ethan tried to explain what he was learning from Zola, the different ways she helped him understand things, but his parents dismissed it as childish nonsense, a distraction from his real studies. They couldn't comprehend the value of her unconventional lessons, blinded by their belief in traditional education and social hierarchies. The pressure mounted on Ethan, forcing him to navigate the delicate balance between his newfound understanding and his parents' expectations. One afternoon, Zola found Ethan struggling with a geometry problem, his brow furrowed in frustration. She noticed him idly sketching patterns in the dirt with a stick. "What are you drawing, Master Ethan?" she asked. He shrugged, embarrassed. "Just lines. It helps me think sometimes." Zola encouraged him to show her. He hesitantly revealed a series of intricate geometric designs, surprisingly accurate and aesthetically pleasing. Zola's eyes lit up. "You have a natural eye for spatial relationships," she exclaimed. "This is how you see the world." She began incorporating his artistic inclinations into her lessons, showing him how geometry was inherent in the patterns of nature, how physics governed the flow of water he sketched, how even economics could be visualized through graphs and charts. Suddenly, subjects that had once seemed abstract and impenetrable became visual and intuitive. Ethan discovered a hidden talent he never knew he possessed, a different way of understanding the world that traditional schooling had completely overlooked. His sketches weren't just idle doodles. They were a window into his unique way of learning. As Ethan's understanding deepened and his performance in certain subjects continued to improve in unexpected ways, his parents' suspicion of Zola grew. They couldn't reconcile his progress with her lack of formal education. They began to see her not as a helpful presence, but as a potentially negative influence, perhaps even manipulating their son for her own gain. Whispers of doubt filled their conversations. What is she really after? His mother wondered aloud. Why is Ethan suddenly so attached to her? His father, ever the pragmatist, considered the potential damage to their reputation if it became known that their son was being taught by a household maid. They started monitoring Ethan's interactions with Zola more closely, their eyes filled with distrust. The once quiet disapproval now hardened into a tangible tension that permeated the household. Ethan felt caught in the middle, torn between the validation he found in Zola's teaching and the disapproval of his own family. The fragile hope he had begun to nurture was threatened by the growing storm of his parents' suspicion. Amidst the growing tension, an unexpected ally emerged in the form of Ethan's aunt, Clara. A renowned artist and a woman known for her unconventional views, Clara had always been somewhat of an outsider in the family. During one of her visits, she observed Ethan and Zola interacting, noticing the genuine curiosity and engagement in Ethan's eyes, something she hadn't seen before. Later, she spoke privately with Ethan's parents, offering a different perspective. "Perhaps," she suggested gently, "Ethan is learning in a way that resonates with him." Not everyone thrives in the rigid structure of traditional schooling. She pointed out Ethan's newfound enthusiasm and the spark of creativity she had witnessed. Clara's words, coming from a respected member of the family, gave Ethan's parents pause. They had always valued Clara's intelligence, even if they didn't always agree with her. Her observation challenged their preconceived notions and planted a seed of doubt in their unwavering disapproval of Zola's methods. For the first time, they began to consider the possibility that there might be more to this unconventional arrangement than they had initially perceived. The annual school science fair arrived, a daunting event that had always been a source of anxiety for Ethan. This year, however, inspired by Zola's lessons on observation and practical application, he decided to approach it differently. Instead of a complex theoretical project he didn't fully grasp, he chose to study the growth patterns of the bougainvillea vine in their garden, meticulously documenting its tendrils, its response to sunlight, and the subtle variations in its blossoms based on soil conditions. He applied Zola's methods of careful observation, sketching, and connecting his findings to broader biological principles. His presentation was not filled with jargon and complicated equations, but with detailed drawings, insightful observations, and a genuine passion for his subject. The science teachers, initially skeptical of his simple project, were impressed by his thoroughness and his unique perspective. To everyone's surprise, including his own parents, Ethan won second prize. It wasn't the top award, but it was a significant achievement, a tangible testament to the effectiveness of Zola's unconventional teaching. For his parents, seeing their son genuinely engaged and succeeding in a way they hadn't thought possible, began to erode their skepticism and open their minds to the possibility that there was merit in Zola's approach. Following Ethan's success at the science fair, a chance encounter revealed a long-held family secret. While organizing some old photographs, Ethan stumbled upon a faded picture of a young woman who bore a striking resemblance to Zola, standing alongside his mother during their university days. Confused, he showed it to his mother, who paled visibly. Reluctantly, his mother confessed that Zola was no ordinary maid. Years ago, she and Zola had been close friends, but a misunderstanding and a significant life event had led to a painful falling out, causing Zola to disappear from their lives. His mother had never spoken of her, and Ethan had grown up completely unaware of this connection. The revelation cast a new light on Zola's presence in their household and her unusual dedication to Ethan's education. Was she simply being kind, or was there a deeper motive rooted in their shared history? The discovery created a ripple of unease and unanswered questions, further complicating the already tense dynamics within the family. Armed with the faded photograph, Ethan sought out Zola in the garden. He held it out to her, his eyes questioning. A flicker of recognition, followed by a wave of sadness, crossed her face. She confirmed that it was indeed her, taken many years ago. In an emotional conversation, Zola revealed that after the falling out with Ethan's mother, her life had taken a difficult turn. She had always regretted the lost friendship and had quietly sought out their family years later, needing work and wanting to be near them, even from a distance. She explained that her desire to help Ethan stemmed from a genuine concern for his well-being and a belief in his potential, untainted by any malicious intent. She admitted that seeing him struggle reminded her of her own challenges, and that she had simply wanted to offer him a different path, a way of learning that she herself had found valuable. The revelation humanized Zola in Ethan's eyes, transforming her from a mysterious presence into someone with her own history, her own vulnerabilities, and a genuine connection to his family. Understanding the depth of the lost friendship and the sincerity of Zola's intentions, Ethan felt compelled to help mend the rift between her and his mother. He spoke to his mother, sharing Zola's story and emphasizing her genuine care for him. Initially hesitant, his mother's heart softened as she recalled their shared past and witnessed the positive impact Zola had had on Ethan. A tearful reconciliation followed, years of unspoken hurt and misunderstanding finally giving way to forgiveness and renewed connection. The atmosphere in the mansion shifted, the earlier tension replaced by a sense of warmth and understanding. Ethan's parents began to see Zola not just as a member of the staff, but as a cherished friend, her presence a testament to the unexpected ways in which life could offer healing and connection. The shared history and the subsequent reconciliation deepened Ethan's appreciation for Zola and her unique guidance. He realized that true learning extended beyond academics, encompassing empathy, understanding, and the mending of broken relationships. The true test of Ethan's transformation came not in an exam hall, but in a sudden family crisis. His father's business faced an unexpected and severe financial threat, one that could potentially jeopardize their entire empire. Panic rippled through the household, the carefully constructed world of wealth and privilege suddenly teetering on the brink. Amidst the chaos, Ethan remained surprisingly calm. Drawing on Zola's lessons of observation, problem-solving, and understanding human nature, he saw opportunities where others saw only despair. He analyzed the situation with a clear head, identifying potential solutions that his father's frantic advisors had overlooked. He spoke with empathy to the worried employees, understanding their fears and offering reassurance. He even used his artistic talents to create clear and persuasive visual presentations of his proposed strategies. To everyone's astonishment, Ethan stepped forward not as a failing student, but as a young man with newfound confidence and practical intelligence. Ethan's unconventional approach proved surprisingly effective. He identified a crucial oversight in their investment portfolio and proposed a strategic restructuring that mitigated the immediate threat. He negotiated with creditors with a maturity beyond his years, understanding their concerns and finding mutually beneficial solutions, a skill honed by Zola's lessons in empathy. His ability to communicate his ideas clearly and persuasively, honed through countless conversations with Zola and his newfound artistic expression, convinced even the most skeptical advisors. He worked tirelessly alongside his father, not as a burden, but as a capable and insightful partner. In the end, it was Ethan's fresh perspective and his ability to apply the unconventional lessons he had learned that played a significant role in navigating the crisis and securing the future of his father's business. The family watched in amazement as the son, who had once been labeled a failure, rose to the occasion with unexpected strength and wisdom. The crisis had a profound impact on Ethan and his family. It shattered the illusion of their invincibility and revealed a deeper kind of strength in Ethan, one that had been nurtured not in the classroom, but through real-world experiences and the guidance of an unconventional teacher. Ethan realized that success wasn't solely defined by academic accolades or financial wealth. True success lay in the ability to learn, to adapt, to connect with others, and to overcome challenges with resilience and ingenuity. He understood that his failures in traditional schooling hadn't defined him. They had simply pointed him towards a different path of learning. He looked at Zola with a deep sense of gratitude, recognizing her not just as a maid, but as a mentor who had seen his potential when no one else did. His relationship with his parents also transformed, built on a newfound respect and understanding that went beyond the superficial measures of achievement. Life in the billionaire's mansion settled into a new rhythm, one where academic grades held less sway than genuine understanding and practical application. Ethan continued his formal education, but now with a newfound confidence and a different approach to learning, often drawing parallels between classroom theories and the real-world lessons Zola had imparted. Zola remained a cherished part of the family, her wisdom and quiet strength a constant source of guidance. The story of the billionaire's son who had failed every test became a whispered legend, a testament to the transformative power of unconventional learning and the profound impact of a new kind of teacher. Ethan's journey proved that true education transcends textbooks and examinations. It lies in the ability to observe, to empathize, to connect with the world around us, and to find our own unique way of understanding and navigating life's challenges. The most important lesson Zola taught him wasn't found in any curriculum, but in the understanding that failure is not the opposite of success, but often a crucial stepping stone on the path to discovering our true potential.